I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was this?
definitely.
Unidentified aerial phenomena.
To cover up our mistakes.
I've met people who swear they've seen Bigfoot.
Join us for a journey into the obscure.
You are now listening to The Wow Pod.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, today we've got an interview with an abductee, Kim. Where are you calling from, Kim?
I'm from Norwalk, Ohio.
Norwalk, Ohio. And she's going to go through her story, and we'll ask her a few questions that are pertinent to us. And, I'll probably make bad jokes like I always do, but that's how it goes. Kim, how are you this morning?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So, you've been abducted, and before we started the show, you were talking about when you were a child having some experiences. I don't know. Let's lead off with you give us a synopsis of your story. Start wherever you want to.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm originally from Mansfield, lived in Sandusky most of my life. Just recently moved to Norwalk. I've had a lot of sightings, a lot of things that happened as far as with abductions, and I have recall on quite a few things.
Yeah.
A lot of things came from that too.
This started when you were young. What's your first remembered experience?
My first memory of anything would be about 3 or 4 years old when I seen a robot type figure on the outside of our house. I lived with friends of mine, my grandparents, and it was like nobody else seen it, but everybody was like frozen. Nobody moved, but I was the only one to seen this. I was like the only child there anyhow. But it was funny because now that I think back, I never said a word to anybody about it. Never screamed. It was just like I didn't say anything.
So it was more intriguing to you than scary at the time.
Yeah, but in the same respect, we're talking about the very early 60s. I was born in 61.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, like I said, I'm the only child. So I don't know what this is. I don't know if that's a robot. I don't know what it is.
What was it doing?
It was just like looking in the window.
Oh.
It was like metallic, and it was looking in the window.
And you guys are all outside?
And no, we were inside in the living room.
Oh.
And the people that were taking care of me were watching TV, which was directly in front of the window, which I never understood as to why there was no reaction from them at all.
So the TV's right there, and the robot's just outside the window on the other side
right.
of the TV looking in.
Like they had no
right.
comprehension of it.
Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, nobody moved. I remember that. I mean,
as well, or do you think maybe they missed it?
You would think
no, I think
said something.
I think things that are meant for certain people to see, they see, and it could be paralysis of others that's done so there's no reaction. I don't know. But I just thought I always think back at that moment because it's like it just happened, and I can still recall seeing that and still wondering why nobody's making a move nobody's moving. It was like everything stood still.
When was the first time you relayed this story to someone?
I haven't. I just started talking about that. Probably about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago at the most.
Wow.
But it just when you start talking about things, other memories start popping up. It's like triggers.
Sure.
Yeah. So you said everyone was just kind of frozen there in paralysis. Do you think maybe some kind of paradigm shifted there where maybe there was like a frozen time minute there?
That's exactly what it seemed like.
Huh.
I have no other explanation for it at all, other than, I mean, in my head, and I can, like I said, it's like it just happened. I'm wondering why nobody's moving, why nobody is scared. I mean, it's not like I was scared. It was just like it was so odd to me because I'd never seen anything like it,
Right.
and I didn't see anything as far as a kid of a robot until until I started seeing them like in the late 60s, like when the toys came out. But it didn't relate to me until later on that, that's like what I seen in the window,
I've often
It
wondered.
was just odd.
I've often wondered about that because it's like, it's almost like the people designing these things have had experiences with them, or where did they come up with the ideas to do these things? So, perhaps whoever designed these little robot toys had also seen something like this.
Oh.
And just,
And you know what? And you're right about that. Look, and it wasn't until later on, I want to say like in the 70s, when I seen like the War of the Worlds and things like that, where there's robots, whatever movie that was. And that's when I started relating on, this is like what I seen.
Right. I have often wondered that, because it feels to me like alien abductions evolve just prior to our actual technology. So people start seeing things that we shouldn't be able to do, or shouldn't, have any concept of, and then it comes into concept.
Right. I got goosebumps because I think you're about right on that.
Oh, wow.
Because their technology, yeah, I've got goosebumps all over.
It's like
their technology is highly different than ours. We're so far behind, even though in our minds or the scientists and those of NASA and that think that we're so far ahead, we're not. We're not at all.
What did this robot look like?
It was just metallic, and it was just like a robot. I mean, I can't explain it other than, then it just
kind of like a classic robot, like the box.
Your classic, yeah, it was like, it was like like it had like if you turned a sand bucket upside down, like the head was like that.
Okay.
But the body was just chunks of things. It was just odd.
Interesting.
And like I said, it wasn't until the movies came out did it, like I said, trigger a memory that, wow, that's kind of like what the hell I seen.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So after this robot, how many years before you had any type of strange encounter? Or did that kind of kick off a bunch of activity?
I think that kicked off a lot of different things because at that point I started hearing voices, hearing my name being called. There's nobody there. I was more intuitive than anybody. I was able to see and hear people that weren't there, or voices that there was nobody. But there was like communication, and it wasn't until, because I lived with my grandparents' friends from the time I was 2 months until I was 8 years old.
What were these voices saying?
They would just call my name, or I could hear like communications between sometimes two people or sometimes a group of people, and you could never hear what was actually being said.
Just kind of the hum of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everything like muffled. But that's common. And it's common when you're able to hear communications from the spirit world.
You don't, and sometimes we don't have the dialect to kind of understand, almost like a language.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea. And back then you just didn't talk about things like that. And especially when I moved in with my mother at 8 years old, my mother and my second stepfather at that point wanted was flipping out because they thought I was crazy and they wanted to take me to a psychiatrist and that. So that was kind of disturbing. So all of a sudden, I just began to shut down. I realized that I can't tell anybody about things that I hear or see.
Sure.
Yeah, that leads another level of shock on top of shock. Did they end up taking you to the psychiatrist? Did they?
No, there was just the threat of that all the time, and there was just a lot of mental, physical, verbal abuse that went along with everything. That's just how the family was, but that's a background for a lot of abductees as well. There's always some kind of abuse, almost always some kind of abuse involved, and this kind of leads off to other issues, other situations with abductees as well.
Yeah, there's
a lot of similar backgrounds.
Some common threads that all people who have been abducted share on one level or another. Some share all of them. Some share a subset of them.
Absolutely.
It'd be interesting.
I've done a lot of research on that.
Are you saying that a lot of abductees come from like is abusive situations?
Well, I think it's more situations that lend to them not talking, whether it be, overbearing parents or, situations that dissuade them from telling their experience.
And that could be true. And what I've gotten from it is I just wonder if if the ones that are chosen to participate in these agendas with these ETs, I just wonder if we're not put into certain situations or similar situations to see how our emotions are affected, how if we all react the same way, how we react.
Like experiments.
Exactly. And it's a generational family issue. There's only one or two people from each generation of families that are taken. Through the research that I've done, not everybody goes through this. This is exactly why you have people that don't believe, and it's because they're not a participant in it. They're not chosen to do it. We don't choose them; they choose us.
Right.
Like we're in their petri dish.
So
exactly.
Tell us about your abduction.
My earliest ones would be, I would say, early 20s. I've lost 5 children. I've got 2 that's totally unaccountable for as far as pregnancies goes. And because I was 3 months pregnant both times, and both times there was absolutely no sign of a pregnancy at all.
So when you were abducted, you were pregnant?
I've actually seen a hybrid of one of my children there. Yes, I was shown.
That is also something that is so common. This familiarity. So when you see a hybrid, so to speak, for lack of a better term, people report that just as you know your own child here, when you see them, you recognize them as your child.
So,
yeah, it's unspoken. You don't even, they're not even telling you that they're your children. I've got goosebumps. It's just my stomach just flipped. But it just
you were 3 months pregnant, and then abducted, and then you weren't pregnant, and they had removed the embryo from you, and then do you think had they caused the pregnancy and then removed the embryo, or do you think they took your embryo and then made it and then mixed it?
I'm not sure of the process, and I can't make that call. I don't know.
Tell me about the abductions. Do you remember anything about them, or is it just lost time?
No, there's been times when I can actually visibly feel myself going through the ceiling or going through a wall. there's been times where you can just tell that they're near, and you just close your. I mean, I've never fought. I didn't have bad experiences. I had one, and that was only because I was so pissed because I seen my 5-year-old daughter beside me, and that's when I was pissed. I've always found it interesting because I've always known that there was more to life than what we're seeing on our planet. With all the stars and planets out there in the universe, and just like there's more dimensions, we know that there's got to be more life forms than what we are right here. It would make no sense just to have one. It never made any sense to me, even as a little kid.
Yeah, it'd be more shocking if there wasn't life out there.
It just wouldn't make sense. It doesn't. I don't know how people say, "Oh, I don't believe in life outside of our own." It makes no sense.
Do you think that we are coexisting? Because I often think about this. Do you think that time as a construct is something that we have created and that we've just basically got it wrong, but we are actually coexisting dimensionally with possibly ourselves in other time frames, as well as many, many other species that are just beyond what we can comprehend?
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. I believe that we keep coming back, and I think that's what I think that's what we are, as far as when we say, "Oh, that's deja vu. I remember this," or something. Have we already done this before?
Right.
And then trying to come back and do it differently? It makes sense that way to understand it like that. We understand it on different levels only because of what we've created ourselves.
Exactly.
And the scientists and people that's written books that says, this is what this is. This is what.
Right.
But that's only a human concept. That's not what it really. There's more to it.
Like if I tell you it's a door, well, your whole life you're going to believe it's a door because you've been told it's a door.
Because that's what we've been conditioned to believe.
Exactly. That I often wonder that. So do you think that they are actually from other planets and they are, traveling through space to get here? Or do you believe that...
I don't think... Go ahead, hon.
Or do you believe that the construct of what we know dimensionally is so diverse that it's not necessarily, a billion light years away, but could be just, right outside of reach?
Well, stop and think. We understand what remote viewing is.
Yeah, I'm actually.
We understand that.
A class on that.
Yeah, remote viewing and time travel as well. It's not impossible. It's very possible. As a matter of fact, it's been done for decades. It's just like we had been given so many senses. We're down to 5. We're just now trying to catch up with getting them back. Some of us, just like some people say, we have a 6th sense.
Right.
And then you have levitation, people that can levitate. You have people that can do other things. All of these were senses that we were originally given, but we've been dumbed out over the centuries only because of power. And a lot of that has to do, and I hate to say it, but it was religion that has the biggest factor on that.
Sure.
Because of a control.
When was your most recent abduction? I mean, is this still going on?
It's been a while. I still get contacted, but it's been a little bit of time, probably about 6 years now was my last one.
And do you remember what the aliens looked like?
To me, they look like the tall grays, but they also could be the Arcturians because there's kind of similarities.
The Arcturians?
Yeah.
Explain to us and the listeners what those look like.
They look similar to the tall grays. They don't have, they're not bad. They don't have the negative energy that the short grays do. They're very kind, and what a lot of people don't understand is there's ETs that actually go out of their way to help heal people too.
So, in your most recent abduction, what's the purpose? Do you get a sense of why? Are they just checking in on you? We've talked to a couple of abductees that feel like they are being given something every time they've been abducted, whether it's knowledge of something to come,
That's
or perhaps it's like you said, just kind of a visit with one of their children, but they have a sense of purpose. If they come back from these abductions feeling like something was accomplished. Are you getting a sense of that? And what is it?
Well, the purpose of it, and I can't speak for all of them, only the ones that I've dealt with. It's a seeding and reseeding purpose, because at some point the planet's going to need to be reseeded with humans or hybrids and other planets and star systems as well. We're not here for just to be here. There's a purpose for us. There's a reason why we're here. And yes, we are given knowledge, not maybe each time, but we are given knowledge and given insight on things that are warnings that are to come, just like ever since the beginning of last year, I started telling people that there's going to start being a lot of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions going on. And right now that's been going on the past last year. And it's still going on.
Is this information you got from them, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't have had this any other way.
Okay,
I'm not that damn smart.
Do you think they implanted this in you?
Yeah, we're given information to pass on, because it's information of any kind is not good. It serves no purpose for one person. It's for other people, but it's a warning system because of all the things that's going on our planet, and us as laymen don't have the control that our government does, as far as every time that there's a shuttle taken off, every time that there's a missile launched, there's a movement on the Earth. Every time you've got frackling, you're digging underground tunnel systems. If you look at a map of underground tunnel systems just in the United States, it looks like a spider web. It should the Earth should implode on itself in the United States with all the tunnel systems that we've got going on.
Yeah, that fracking, I've done plenty of research on that, and it's devastating what it's doing.
Yeah, all the fracking, any kind of movement that's really causing a big thrust. You've got the wars. Everything has an impact. Negative energy alone has negative impact. So you're going to have, with all this, and it's coming from all areas of the world, everything's creating these movements. You're going to have, with the earthquakes, you're going to have underground earthquakes that's going to cause tsunamis. I had spent about 7 years ago now, 6-7 years ago, where I was shown a huge tidal wave going over top of the Statue of Liberty. I don't want that to happen, but that's what I was shown. It seems that they show you in dreamlike, I don't know how to say it, dream
like
type
visions?
movies. It's like a movie, but you're not sleeping per se. But they're showing you things that are to come. But like I said, I can't stop that from happening. But if I pass the information on, will it have an impact on somebody that does have the power to stop it? But it's not going to, because our government, and not just our government, all over the world, you've got things that impact the planet itself at some level.
Well, I think economically, we can't stop what's going on. I mean, unless you want to see, I would guess, if we stopped all the industrialization, we would see, probably at least 100 million deaths in the first year. Easy.
But you have to stop and think. There's way that waste, that pollution, everything could be changed.
Yes, but
It would all come at a cost.
the cost would be within the first 10 years, a third of all human life. That's the cost. And that's
But had it started early, it wouldn't have.
Sure. Or perhaps
well, we wouldn't have got to where we are on our population if it hadn't started.
Yeah.
Well, you would have a lot. You would have a lot cleaner water. There would be more things for everybody. If we lived the way that we should be living, you wouldn't have homeless people. You wouldn't have people that are hungry. You wouldn't have dirty water. You wouldn't have,
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Cities.
Just everything. The oceans would not be polluted if things were done the way that they should have been done at the beginning. And I know we're getting off track of this, but everything runs in full circle.
Yeah.
And I think that that's another thing that they're showing us and telling us, that our planet is, and then we go from not taking care of our own to go to others.
Right.
Which makes no sense.
So you say you have 5 children, 3 unaccounted for. Those would be the 3.
I lost 5 altogether total. Yes, I've got 2 that was totally unaccounted for.
2 totally unaccounted for. The other 3, do you have any living children?
I have 2.
What do they think about all of this?
My son was a twin. I lost his twin. They were 3.5 months early. And both of them had birth defects. The one that passed had an enlarged heart, and his lungs were filled with fluid. My son that lived, which they didn't expect to live past 10 years old, has a mild case of cerebral palsy.
Wow.
But my daughter is fully healthy, and like I said, she had recall of, and she didn't tell me about this until 2 years ago. She had recall of us running through fields, leaving the crafts through the fields after the fact on several occasions, but I don't have recall of that.
Well,
I don't have recall of being brought back.
So the craft picked you up, dropped you off in a field, and
we had a field by our house.
And your daughter remembers it.
She remembers leaving the craft.
Yeah, she won't talk about this. That was the first time. Matter of fact, she's 33 years old. 2 years ago was the first time she even spoke of it. But the day that I was really upset, because when we were being examined, and that was the first time I ever recall being examined, but I don't have any recall of the examination itself per se, but seeing her next to me was the first time I ever seen somebody. And then when I seen her, I just got totally upset. Yeah. And I'm screaming, but yet there's no verbal thing, anything coming out of my mouth, but you can hear it in my head that I'm screaming and crying, and I could visibly feel the tears running down my face. And they calmed me by telling me, we're not hurting her, we're just, examining and testing her. So but I didn't want that for my kids,
right? It's the nurturing mother instinct.
Exactly.
It's fine if it's happening to us, we can handle it. But as soon as we notice that it's happening to one of our own, it's a totally different situation.
Right. Because I agreed to it. I mean, I always I always knew that things were more than what we see, just like I said. I knew that there was more life than what we see within ourselves. So I wasn't opposed to ever leaving. I always found it fascinating to go because I never had any bad experiences. That was my only bad experience.
what does the craft look like? Is it different every time? Do you have any memories?
I don't
of
have
what
any
it looked like?
recall. I don't have any recall of what the outside looked like. The inside where we were, all I remember, it was like a dimmed grayish, like kind of like the day I'm looking at today, how it's gray out, looking like it's going to rain. It's like a battleship gray. But, that's it. There's like no, when I remember being out front, because I was always, before that happened, I was always allowed to sit, and this is going to sound really weird, and this is me and only one other guy that I had talked to. We never told anybody about this part of our experience. And it's only been a couple years that I actually come out since I talked to him. Having the exact same thing happen was, I always felt special being able to sit up front at the controls with the crew. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. I was just part of part of them, one of them. And I was able to always sit up there in the windows and see everything go by really fast, going at a very high speed.
So they let you up in there with them.
Yeah.
So
And that's why I always kept that to myself, because that's hard for somebody to grasp, but that was something I always kept special to myself.
And that lends way to different type of alien abductions have very different feeling, if that makes sense. We actually interviewed Calvin Parker. He was the one in Pascagoula.
Right, and we're friends on Facebook, and we were going to talk together too.
Yeah, and his experience was terrifying. It was a different alien. It was the little green type of alien. And he also received an examination of sorts, but he said it was painful and felt as though he was being choked, and he was, just violated, beat up, and then dumped back off. It seems like, depending on who's doing the abducting, that it's just like all people are different, that these different species.
Right, exactly. That's exactly how I've always explained it to people too. Just like we have negative and positive people here, you're going to have that outside of our world too.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's different species. Exactly. There's different species and different personalities to each and every one of them. They all have their own agenda too. There's more species on this planet than people know. And a few of them's never left. They've been here since the beginning. We're not from here to start with.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, we talked about the panspermia idea on previous shows.
Yeah, that we were seeded, and like you said, it's kind of a seeding and reseeding, which makes sense to me. Especially if you look at octopi and the cephalopods, other cephalopods that occupy the planet, the DNA doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
And
it's from out
a lot of the. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that the DNA is not from here. Matter of fact, if you stop and look at it, look at the different. Okay, let's go back and think about. We're supposed to come from two people, Adam and Eve. Not buying that. Sorry.
Right.
They're not going to. They're not. I'm sorry. I'm on a different level when it comes to the Bible too.
That hillbilly lineage would be a pole, not a family tree.
How are you?
I can live with that.
With the ideas of the Anunnaki coming. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yeah, I believe that completely.
The alien species made us as a hybrid kind of worker race.
Well, I don't buy that as a worker race at all, because number one, with the technology that they had, they didn't need somebody digging it up for them. I've never understood that concept. I just don't buy that, because they can extract anything they want from anywhere. They don't need little worker bees, so to speak,
holes and such. Yeah.
Right. When they have the technology that they have, and No, I don't buy that at all. I think that there was a different reasoning. I think just to seed and to create. And I don't buy evolution as we're spoon-fed it to be either.
Yeah, I agree. There's quite a few proponents out there that say that the evolutionary theory doesn't hold water,
No.
especially given
If,
the knowledge base that we have today.
and see, are they ever going to change the science books, even though they know the truth? I doubt it.
Well, and, we talked with he's a ufologist from Brazil, and he's 100% convinced that there will be this reckoning of sorts, kind of like a final contact where everything will be revealed. Perhaps it's like in the movies, the big ships landing and making themselves known, or just worldwide phenomena of people understanding, some sort of understanding, global understanding. And I don't think that society as it is today, one can handle that. So no, they're not going to change the history books. They're not going to recreate, their will.
They're not going to, because there's going to be too many questions as to, everybody's going to be pointing fingers. There's going to be, at that point, there's going to be a breakdown of governmental trust, which there already is, but you're going to have more of it.
Right.
You're going to have all kinds of breakdowns. Breakdown of society in general will be completely diminished.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think that it will come from within. If there is this final surge, this, first and final contact, I think it's going to have to come from outside of our species.
And it's actually going on. It's been going on for a long time. People are just, in general, like I said, back in the 60s, it wasn't talked about. The 70s wasn't talked about much. In the 80s, it started little by little being brought out. The 90s brought out even more. And now you've just got more of people that are awake, because just like I said, it's a generational family issue as far as abductions go. And there's so many species, and everybody has their own agenda, just like different cultures.
Sure.
Different cultures have different agendas. They have different ways of thinking. It's no different that way.
So was your contact mostly with these tall grays, or was there other aliens?
I guess I'm able to communicate, and what we have to understand is we don't, when we reincarnate, we don't come just to Earth. We come from different planets. We have the ability to be able to live other places, so we're going to have some kind of memory of communication with others as well. We don't lose the sense of any information that's been given on any other planet, or anything that we've ever, all knowledge that we've gained through all of our lifetimes is maintained. It's like in a vault, and there will be triggers that awaken those. So as far as have I just had contact with them? No, there's been others.
Yeah. I want to, if we can, take a minute and talk about, like you had contact with the tall grays. What was their skin like? Did they wear uniforms?
I don't recall. Like, and if it is, it's like a skin tight uniform that kind of blends in with them.
Okay.
But I do have a recall of actually like standing off to the side of where the control panels were, and I was like communicating telepathically, which is the only way to communicate with them anyhow. Mm-hmm. And because I'm curious by nature, no matter. I asked myself, is it possible that I can touch your face, but I won't get sick from it? I wasn't sure if I touched their skin, if if it be a toxin. You know what I'm saying? I guess
Yeah.
even then, I was concerned about things like that.
See that now
But I was
that has to be something that you carried over, like you said, from a different incarnate. Why would you even think of that? I would never think of that. Like, what if there are
But
some out there that you've had experience with in previous lives that are
that made
toxic
me
to
sick
touch?
in contact, right?
So was
I
their
don't know.
skin
I just
smooth?
that was the. It was from what I can remember. It looks like it feels. It's kind of like rough,
Also, it's rough
not
skin.
smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard that that on a conversation we had with David. And he mentioned their eyes, that the when you see the pictures, the blacks of their eyes is actually like a protective thing they put over their eyes.
Like a contact. Yeah.
When that's taken off, they have pupils and irises and
Right.
other such things. What other aliens have you spoken to? Have you spoken to, say, any
The
type of
Pleiadians.
the Palladians?
Yeah.
And what do they look like? What's their physique?
They're almost like human form, so they would easily blend in with us.
That's the most
I've
common
had
one
more.
that people say live amongst us.
Okay.
Well, there's the Pleiadians, and there's the blue whites as well.
The Nordics and things.
What
Yeah,
about
they're
like
similar
the insectic
in
ones?
excuse me.
The mantids, the insect aliens. Any?
I've had no contact with them.
Okay.
So when you had contact with the Palladians, how are they different to the tall grays, like in their, their mannerisms and things?
They're very similar, but they're a lot. Their manner. I mean, it's similar in nature. They're not negative. The Pleiadians, they're much more of a calm, tranquil, inviting, I would say, race.
Okay. So, um, so we've got the tall grays. How tall are they?
Well, I'm 5'3", so anything's taller than me, damn near.
They're 5'5", tall.
Yeah. No, the one that I spoke with, I would say 5'10", maybe, but almost 6.
Okay. So about the average human male height, somewhere around there.
Right. Yeah.
And the Palladians, are they tall or are they average size as well?
They're about average. I've had communication with them, not direct contact. I would say not in this life form. Anyhow, I know that I've had that I lived there before in a previous incarnation.
So a previous incarnation, you were possibly Palladian yourself.
Have you ever done any hypnosis therapy or?
Yes.
So have you found that to be helpful in kind of connecting the dots?
Well, I do what I do is meditation and I do spirit writing.
So what is that, autonomous writing or
auto writing?
Okay.
Automatic writing.
Yeah, I've never done that, but I have heard of it.
Explain that to me real quick, because I'm unfamiliar.
Well, I go, and all of this, everything occurred, like I said, all these things occurred after the fact, and your intuition has just become heightened, and I go through my spirit guide and I only work through my spirit guide to be able to communicate and do the automatic writing, where I give her use of my right hand. What I do is I write out a list of questions that I want answered, but I usually let her go ahead and send any messages through.
Now, who's her?
My spirit guide, which is Yellum.
Yellum?
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a bit about Yellum real quick.
She was Native American. We were a couple in a previous incarnation, previous life.
You guys were
And
like married, or
right, exactly.
okay.
And that's how all of our spirit guides are granted. It's not, they don't have to be related, or they just, that's done on a different level before we come down here to take on a body. You have
We've heard it
spirit guides.
explained. It's like tribes.
It's like a soul
It's
contract.
not. Yeah, they're not always Native Americans. It's just that
Well,
was
not
happened.
not
That just
tribes,
happened.
not tribes in the means of Native American, but people that you're close with here and spirit guides. You intermingle throughout time, throughout all reincarnations, whether you're on the
That's just
other
like,
side.
you're right. That's just like, you don't run into people by accident. There are no accidents. Everything's preconceived and pre-written on any contact that you have with anybody, be it good, bad, or indifferent, because everybody's to learn something, whether you're the one learning or they're the one learning from you.
So you do
But
this,
the
this
guides,
automatic writing.
mhm.
What are you finding out?
Any question that any questions that I have, I can ask her, and like I said, I just let her write sometimes, and whatever messages come through, and sometimes I even have her have like ETs talk with her to to communicate messages as well.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
It really is. I feel blessed to be able to do that.
And what
Not
is she
everybody
saying?
can. Excuse me?
Yeah, I went through the regressive therapy, or the regressive hypnotic past life. What was
past life.
past life regress?
Regression. Yeah.
This is my first time around. I have no previous lives.
Oh, so you're a young soul.
I probably maybe
You have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
You got a lot to learn, my friend.
We need to go back to it. We gotta reach out and touch base on that again for sure.
Yeah, we'll both do another session.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? Do you think that you'll continue? I mean, do you have any foresight of if you'll continue getting contact, or is there kind of this age?
I believe. I think it all depends on the person. I think as long as this is my concept, or my outlook on it. I think as long as they see that you're continuing to pass on the information given and trying to enlighten others, that they'll continue to give you knowledge and information as well. If you stay stagnant, yeah. Because the messages and things are not meant just for one, just like I said, not just meant for one person. It doesn't one person no good.
Who was the first person you ever told about these experiences, and how did they react? Because like you said, you grew up in a time where, first of all, no one talked about this kind of stuff. And although you didn't tell back then, still to this day, if I walked up to someone and said, "Hey, I got a story to tell you," I mean, even someone, podcast related, to look at me and go, "Are you serious?"
That's what took me so long to actually say anything to anybody. It wasn't until I was dating a guy for we was together about 13, 14 years, and it was when I was like about 5 years in, did I start talking about it, and then I started going on the internet, and I started sharing information and my experience with them, and I was ridiculed so badly. And this was not that long ago. That's what made me create my own group, because I would not allow anybody to be ridiculed. I mean, I was called every name in the book. I was made fun of. My daughter was talked about, which I wanted to throw down at that point. You just don't do that.
Right.
They were laughing. And these are people from that, and I hate to bring up the group, but these were MUFON. This was a MUFON group.
I think
And these were people that were from MUFON.
I think there's quite a few people I'm finding in MUFON that do it for alternative reasons, not because they want to find life outside the planet or outside of their knowledge base, but they want to dispel it. So they join to be a part of the people who show up and say, no, this isn't happening. This isn't true.
Oh, the names that I was called were so creative. I tell you.
No.
It was horrible. And like I said, and for them to laugh because I lost pregnancies and because I have a hybrid daughter, yeah, that was really bad. And then they were making fun of my daughter living, saying things.
bad.
Yeah, I would go to jail.
Like
I would do my first time in jail.
Why join a group if you're just there to spread negative energy? Like, haven't you got something better to do with your time?
No.
A lot of people just do that to, they're trolls is basically all that you can call them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I was so upset, I said, I'm leaving the group. When I left that group, that moment, my phone got blown up because my messenger got blown to hell because I had people from that group that sat idly sidelined without saying a word or trying to defend in any way, probably for fear of their own being ridiculed.
Sure.
They were calling me, wanting to talk to me about their stories, questioning me how, what went on and things like that. That's how I began helping people to understand what's going on. I get people that are, it was unreal. I get people sent from all over the world referred to me to talk, to understand. I even have a friend that's in MUFON now. He's he's president of the Illinois MUFON group, Rick. And he's wonderful. He's even referred one or two people to me as well for understanding because he doesn't know what to say to them.
Sure.
How long ago did this happen? Because I know recently we had talked and then your Facebook got just removed, right?
Oh.
And what's
let me tell you, it's crazy. I have no idea. I have no idea. My daughter tried
or did it just poof?
No, I got nothing. Well, I've gotten warnings from like the Netherlands and New Zealand, from people that I didn't know, for me telling me to stop talking about things.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now I've tried to my account totally got disabled. I lost everything. I'm still upset about that. That's just a real sore subject with me.
And
I lost over
that's the one that we were talking on before, right?
Right, original. That was my original one that I had for a long time.
Yeah, that was just a month ago.
This happened in December. Yeah, this happened in December.
Okay.
And I lost.
That's another common occurrence with abductees. Everything's fine. They clip along fine until they start to talk. And then things start to shake apart,
Yeah, I can. As a matter of fact, I had like 2 or 3 accounts that I tried to open, and they're totally disabled. The one that I'm on even now, I can't post anything. I'm only able to talk on, I'm only able to talk on Messenger, and I'm only able to post on my timeline. That's it. I can't post in my own room, or in my own group, my not so paranormal group. I can't add anything to that.
What?
I totally lost my inspirational writing group that I had, where people actually asked me to open a group, to put in my writing and everything, because everybody enjoyed. I had over 40 some people that just enjoyed reading my writing. That got I totally lost that, and that was over 4 years worth of work. I lost 7.5 years of interviews and information from my original group,
Mm.
from my messenger and everything. So I'm still kind of beside myself with all that because it just makes me sick because I can't get them back. And I've done everything. I've talked to, sent messages to Facebook, basically even pleading with them to return, my original account or my other account. I get no response at all.
Have you been backing up your stuff now, like on your own computer, just to make sure you retain that?
I work strictly from my phone.
Oh.
And being computer literate, I don't even know how to back crap up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just don't. But I'm so sick with it because, like I said, I put 4 years of work into my inspirational group, and to lose all my writing, I'm beside myself with it.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's tough.
And like I said, with losing all my interviews and everything from my original group, yeah, and I'm still trying to get all my people back to start with. That's why I ended up, I forget what his name is. He contacted me to get a hold of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
James.
Yeah, that's James.
Yeah, James said that. Yeah, James Conjure. He told me that, you guys was trying to get a hold of me, and I'm like, I'm trying to get a hold of all my friends and family.
Well, yeah, you lost everything just like that.
Everything. Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, I mean, was there any lead up to that? Was there an argument going on Facebook? Was there a Facebook controversy going on, or was it just out of the blue surprise?
Well, at first I thought it was because let's put it like this. I've blocked over 150 guys.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to.
For numerous reasons, some obvious. But
like what are the obvious reasons aside from when guys are disgusting on there? Like, is there other reasons?
That basically is it.
Okay, yeah,
there's a
lot of that. I think anytime there's a new communication route, there's conflict within humanity. I mean, you have the Gutenberg press, then you've got the 30 Years' War, you've got the telegraph, then you have the Civil War and the Napoleonic War. I mean, you got all these. So the Napoleonic Wars are a little bit before that, but I digress. But right now, I think men are just having a hard time understanding talking to people. It's like
they have a hard time understanding that a woman has the same capability to talk on the same level on things, and sometimes even have more knowledge of things that they don't.
Well,
And I guess it's like I gotta regress with my mouth sometimes on what I'm thinking, but yeah, they have a hard understanding. They think that they have the superior answer to everything, even though they don't have the superior knowledge or experience. Let's put it like that.
Oh yeah. Well, what I'm talking about is the guys that are, sending pictures of their body parts, and
it's like we've run out of things to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I just say that's cute. You're blocked.
But I don't understand it, that's just, I think that's definitely an issue in human males right now. There's something's going on. It's a lot of societal confusion.
Well, see, that's what I thought initially, because I blocked this one, and he was supposed to be like a reverend and an author, and I was even a admin taking care of his groups, and that's another thing. I lost all my groups. I was admin.
So he was a reverend?
Yeah.
And and you blocked
this
him.
This isn't the first one. Yeah, because it was fun. But this isn't the first one. I mean, like I said, a lot of people hide behind the religious factor and name alone, and then the truth comes out about it. Look at the Vatican. The Vatican is, that's a good example, period, of what I'm talking about.
Sure.
People hide
Everything's
behind
been,
everything they're not, though.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And so much of that's coming out right now, not just at
it's
the Vatican, but I mean in churches. It's just running amok.
well, it's more than
It's,
churches. It's in politics. It's in all that. It's
oh,
always,
sure.
I mean,
It's in the name
just
of something.
just listen to any politician who talks about the evil millionaires, and then when they become a millionaire themselves, then it changes to the evil billionaires.
Right.
That goes
Right.
on right now today. I mean, that's politicians. That's your if any guy is out there stumping for protecting I don't know, victims of theft, you better look in his locker because he's been stealing. That's just the way it is.
Right. That's
Unfortunately.
because he had enough knowledge of it. He knows what he's talking about with it.
That's
Right.
right. Thieves always have the best locks on their house.
Right.
So you say that the president or whoever of MUFON Illinois sends people to you for
Yeah,
like
he referred a couple people to me just
for
to
like
talk to me because
advice.
she was, because she just didn't know, and she went to him not understanding what was going on, and he didn't know how to explain things to her. So, and we were friends, and I told him that I would talk to her, and try to explain things, and that helped out a lot.
What advice do you give someone who has just had their first experience with aliens? I mean, is there a common thread of
Is it a
advice?
cold shower, cry,
Yeah.
hemorrhoid cream?
No, it's like, you just try to calm them down to start with, and that right there, and let them know that they're not alone, that they're chosen. They're not the one that chose them. It's like I said, it's a family generational issue, and it's not just that they're upset because they were abducted or things like that. It's because they don't have an understanding of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, we found that a lot. I mean, there are some that aren't or we don't know if they're a family thing. Calvin, he doesn't have any evidence that he brought up where it's a generational thing. But then when we talked to Rebecca, she talked about her father had seen stuff there in the Uinta Basin and stuff, and then she had it
Well, the
happen to
thing
her.
about that is too is the fact that not all a lot of memory gets wiped, and it's according to how far back. A lot of people straight don't like to talk about it. They will look at it as and it's almost presented as a dream like issue because it's less evasive that way. If it's presented like a dream, you can shrug it off easily.
Sure, like it came from my own imagination.
Right, like, maybe it really didn't happen, and you just kind of bypass it or ignore it.
Yeah.
Whereas other times you just really can't. And like I said, there's a lot of memory wiping that goes on with that.
When they wipe your memory, do when we talked to David, he talked about they had it looked like a flashlight, and that's what they used to that's what they used to subdue him, right?
Right, but it had like he was convinced or is convinced
that it's a magnetic,
that it's some kind of field, not necessarily a spray or something that you can tangibly touch, but it's some kind of energy field.
Not like a Men in Black
right
pen, but it's like they have this flashlight and it emits a magnetic field that kind of paralyzes him.
Yeah.
Well, I have no idea of that. But what would make sense is in that case would be something that would actually do something with the cell memory of your brain that would have some kind of effect.
Right.
of the neurons or whatever in the brain. That would have to affect the brain memory or in that area of memory.
Okay. Well, we definitely need to do this again. And if you're working off your phone, I think we should try to get you plugged into Zoom one time. That way, on Zoom, we can share images with each other and stuff as we talk. If you would be okay
Sure.
with that for our next
Sure.
conversation, we'll and Zoom can go right onto your phone and you can work on it through your phone.
Yeah, we're also working on a series where we kind of go into depth about the different types of aliens. Tiago Chiquetti from Brazil actually did an entire book on species and subsets of species that he's researched over the years. So maybe we could invite you in when we start talking about, the tall grays, and you can help us to better understand, if they've got it right, or if what information that's different.
Yeah.
I think everybody's outlook or perception is always going to be different. You can, just like a car accident, you could have 3 or 4 people see one accident, and everybody will have a different concept or opinion of it. And I think that goes hand in hand with this too. Right. Yeah. And not only that, it can be played with as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Especially if you're being visited often, you may have a totally different concept of who's visiting you based on the information you're allowed to remember.
Yeah.
Well, just like I didn't have any, other than the one experience that I didn't care for, I didn't have any bad experiences, and I really feel horrible for the ones that did, because it goes back to be different because of so many different kinds too. We don't know with all the stars and planets, right? Well, not only different groups, but look at all the star systems that there are. Mm-hmm. They can be just as many different species.
Sure.
Yep.
One for each star system.
Yep.
Crazy.
Sure.
All right. Well.
And okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's and then you've got the dimensional aspect of it. There's a lot of people theorize that it's a demonic activity, that it's confused demonic activity.
Yeah.
I kind of have to disagree with that. And the reason I say that I have to disagree with that, if everything was demonic in nature, as far as all of the different aliens that we've dealt with or different species, then everybody would be having a negative experience.
Right.
Because demonic is not going to give you anything good.
Right.
Well, it could be demonic or angelic. Well, I think what they mean by demonic is more of a spiritual aspect, I guess.
And again, it goes back to, I think it's according to the person's perception.
Yeah. Yeah, how you feel on it.
Right.
Interesting.
And again, that goes back to religion. A religion has always said that those are demonic, those are demons.
Right. Right. They've given you your
even though they're spoke over 100 times in the Bible. Other worlds, other living beings.
Oh, so much information. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
Kim.
Thanks for joining us. I'm going to reach out to you again here in a couple weeks, and we'll try to get you up on Zoom, and then do our next conversation on Zoom.
In the meantime,
I appreciate it.
Is there a way that, because as our listeners listen to this, perhaps someone does have an experience and they'd like to reach out to you. Is there a way for them to get a hold of you right now?
Right now, hon, the only way is to go through my messenger.
Okay, so
or friend me on Facebook, letting me know that that you guys sent them or whatever. Because right now I'm still trying to figure out a way to get an account that's actually passable to where I can communicate. I'm so frustrated right now. I'm beyond being able to talk about that.
I can imagine.
So on Facebook, your name is Spirit Wind on Facebook, and the picture at this time is someone is a person that's kneeling with their hand out, and the sun is positioned to where it
Like
looks
heart shaped.
yeah, heart shaped, and they're holding it.
Right.
So if you want to reach out and get in contact, get some help, you can either come through us or you can go on Facebook and friend Spirit Wind. If you're going to, do it quick, because Facebook might be making her
Don't say that out
adjust
loud.
again. Yeah.
Don't say that out loud.
Yeah. Sorry
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
it's
But
no problem. Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm so frustrated because I'm so used to helping people that there was one year where I stopped at least 6 people from suicide, so I'm really feeling like I'm at a loss, and being so highly empathetic as I am, it makes it even worse.
we'll just keep
But
doing the good work,
help's got to be doing.
and
We've got to.
when they throw you off, start up a new one and start it back up. But start, saving your information. Don't let that stuff drift into the ether, and don't put it completely under someone else's control.
Mm.
Yeah, somebody's already got that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so easily done, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, it can be. Well, thanks again for
I
joining
just-
us, and we will definitely talk real soon.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you very much.
Yes, Kim. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Hank.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.